Hello, welcome to my podcast, Mics One JoeySooch. I am Joe Sooch, and I'll be giving a mic to Eva. Eva is a rare disease advocate and doctor-patient relationship expert. Today's episode will be a little different. Would Eva like to roleplay with me today?
Absolutely.
We are going to pretend I am the coolest doctor in the world who wears a hat when he meets all his patients. Eva will be a patient, and we are meeting each other for the first time. Hello, Eva. I am Dr. Sooch, but you can call me Joe. How are you today?
Hi, Joe. I'm okay. How are you?
I'm good. Since we are meeting for the first time, I have the system I use to create a 360 view of your life. I want to see an interval level of happiness. Are you ready to get started?
Yeah, that sounds interesting.
I have a picture of phases here to see how happy and sad you are. Let me get the photo up.
So is this how I feel right now?
Yeah, I would like you to choose between the 5 phases that mostly reflects your feeling about your current life. Each phase expresses a different level of happiness. It ranges from very sad to very happy, 1 to 5 from left to right. 1 is equal very unhappy all the time. 2 is not happy, very often discontent. 3 is balanced in happy and unhappy feelings. 4 is generally happy and content. And 5 is happy most of the time, sad rarely.
I would say, as of lately, I am a 3.
Okay, thank you for your answer. Please don't mind me as I write down some notes. Next, we will go for a deeper analysis. Are you ready?
Yeah.
I have 10 areas that I will ask you about. You then tell me if your expectations have been met, unmet, or exceeded.
Oh,
An
okay.
example would, yeah, an example would be financial status. So let's say you wanted to make $80,000 a year, but you got some great jobs and side businesses where you're making $100K a year, so your expectation would be exceeded. Are you ready to start?
Yeah, got it.
So we got physical living.
Physical living, like where I live. Uh, I'd say that's met.
Okay.
Good with my space.
So I made a mistake. I meant to say physical living conditions. Is its answer the same as met?
Yeah,
Okay. Career success.
that is met.
Academic success.
Met.
Financial status.
Exceeded. It's been pretty good lately.
Love life.
Exceeded.
Family life.
Also exceeded.
Social life.
Met.
Prospects of having children.
Unmet.
Personal appearance.
Met.
And the last we have is health.
Unmet.
Thank you for your answer. I am going to ask you about the same areas, and I want you to tell me of their importance on a scale of 1 to 5. 1 means doesn't impact my feelings at all. 2 doesn't matter much. 3 is neutral. 4 pretty important but not a top priority. 5 is extremely important. Are you ready to start again?
Yeah.
Okay, so physical living conditions.
4.
Career success.
4. I think a lot of things are going to be a 4.
Academic success.
That's a 2.
Financial success.
3.
Love life.
5.
Family life.
5.
Social life.
5.
Prospects of having children.
5.
Personal appearance.
3. 4.
Okay.
I say 4. I feel like it depends, but I'll go with 4.
Okay. And last we got health.
5.
Thank you. One final question. Had there been any extenuating circumstances that had a positive or negative impact on your current state of happiness? Examples could include getting married or divorced, losing your job or loss or a loved one, getting a huge promotion at work.
So like yeah, like something big that's happening, good or bad.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, actually. So related to the prospect of having children, in some ways it's weird because it's met. I'm pregnant right now, which is what I wanted to be. But the pregnancy is not going so well, and I was put on bed rest this week, so that's a pretty big shift that's affecting me. And I guess that kind of rolls into my health too. So so yeah, that's a big thing that's going on.
What doctor are you working with that made you to go on bed rest?
My actually my perinatologist, I already had a high risk pregnancy, and it's funny because the reason I'm on bed rest has nothing to do with the reason why I'm a high risk pregnancy. I have
Okay.
Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so like my body is basically really loose and likes to fall apart. And when
Hmm.
you're pregnant, that happens to women anyway. So they were monitoring me for it, but it turns out that all that aside, which has already been kind of painful, like my baby isn't growing as fast as it should be or as well as it should be. So they were like, I'm actually kind of pissed too because that doctor didn't tell me to go on bed rest until I asked questions further. She was just like telling me like, oh, your baby's, at this level, it's called IUGR. And then I'm just sitting there like, okay, well, is there anything I can do? And I had to really press her for her to say anything. And then she finally recommended bed rest. And then I asked my OBGYN, the normal person I'd see, and she was like, yeah, you should go on bed rest. Like that should have been a given. So I was kind of pissed also that this perinatologist, this specialist, wasn't very forthcoming with information on that.
Okay, well, I want to say that I'm not familiar with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, so I would have to do a little more research to understand why you're having a miscommunication among doctors. I feel like it
Thanks.
should have been a more clear answer for you of how to proceed with the pregnancy because it seems to be very time sensitive. Like you can't just wait 6 months. You have to deal with the issue now. Um, I can't help you at the moment, but I would like to reach to the doctors and gather notes and see if there's something I can do so you have a more precise plan of how to take care of yourself and also the baby so you have as smooth as a pregnancy as possible. You
Thank you.
do mention that you have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome that added complication. I will have to study it more and get myself up to speed before I give any advice at the moment. Uh, but I do want to work with you and your doctor to make your situation better. And end scene, your bill will be $8,000. Thank you.
Here it
Uh,
is.
all right. So,
Yes.
what do you think? Can
Very
I be a
nice.
doctor?
That was cool going through that. I liked it. Yeah. I think I'm curious, what did you think about it?
It was like when I first did it myself, it was a little like, okay, this could be easy, but once you start like actually telling me detail, it gets more realistic and more just I guess the more you tell me, the more complicated a case can be, and it seems to be very like you need to know all the information before you can make a sound decision. Because I realize like I'm in a power position where I could tell you one thing that could be totally wrong, and I would not want to give you advice that I do not know of. So definitely admitting that I don't know Ehlers-Danlos syndrome enough to give you advice, and also adding a pregnancy with it, and also miscommunication among doctors. You almost kind of don't know what to do. You're just going based on the last doctor you see. So I wouldn't want to get more information and just understand what's happening before I give you any advice and such. And a
Yeah.
patient shouldn't have to go through that because the doctor should have not all the answer, but have the access to the answer and to give you a precise solution, because pregnancy is very, you know, one bad week and such, you can affect the whole pregnancy. So time is urgent at this moment, and I want to help you out.
Yeah. I really like that you talked about wanting to gather more information and but also admitted that you didn't understand something.
Yeah.
Because a lot of doctors eat for ego, possibly liability reasons, don't admit when they don't know something. We didn't establish, I realized in the beginning, like why I was there in the first place. Because, so like if you were my GP, right, and I was just coming in for a checkup,
Mm-hmm.
this is really good so you can get a sense of what's going on in my life. But let's say I came in for, I don't know, I came in for maybe like some other problem. Like I was having headaches, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and a normal doctor would have just jumped into like, why do you think you're having headaches? Or like, tell me about your pain. And while they could be legitimate questions, if you never touched on the fact that I was pregnant, maybe I don't look pregnant, or like I'm very happy, like I'm a smiley person, like you don't know that I'm
Mm-hmm.
going through something difficult, that I'm on bed rest. Like I'm in your office, you don't know I'm on bed rest.
Yeah. I mean, just to add to that, I also don't have any information about yourself. A doctor will at least see your chart before they come into the office. Maybe for 30 seconds would just help me out a little more of like how to like approach you. But yeah, you are right there. I just went straight
Yeah.
into this 360, and I should have done more of a what are you dealing with first,
No, but
and
I guess
then
that's the point, is
yeah.
that it might not be on my chart. So if you're a neurologist, let's say, and I come to you because I'm having constant headaches,
Yeah.
I don't think there's anywhere in a questionnaire. They would probably find out if that I'm pregnant. That would probably be noted somewhere
Mm-hmm.
because they ask that. But otherwise, it wouldn't be noted that I'm on bed rest.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be like it. So maybe my headaches are due to stress because I'm on bed rest and I'm also
Mm-hmm.
upset, right? Like I told you, the prospect of having children or like things around children is a
Yeah.
5 for me in terms of importance, and it's not met. So that indicates that it's upsetting me, like it's a big deal. So sure, I could be having headaches for a physiological reason, like something's
Mm-hmm.
wrong, or it also could be related to stress. It could be like I'm horizontal all the time and I'm upset, and therefore it could be contributing to the headaches. But that doctor wouldn't know that unless they asked me these questions
Yeah, and
or I
then
talked about it.
exactly, and then a doctor to give you an answer right then and there is not fair because you don't know what's wrong either. You want to get all the information for it and then kind of eliminate what could be a problem, or just I mean, I don't know like what a doctor can just talk to you about and say like, oh, these are the factors that could be causing it. I don't know, but let's work on something that can help you with. So like, let's say you're on bed rest for, like maybe we should do like an hour of exercise per day or something. Try to help mitigate that headache and such, and work on a plan instead of just going bed rest until the day you give birth.
Yeah.
It's not possible.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Like maybe there's something about, yeah, I'm not an expert on headaches necessarily. Be
Yeah.
like, okay, is there something I could do that would alleviate my headaches that I could just do a little bit each day so that I'm still like on bed rest, but I can minimize those? Or maybe I'm someone who's never tried meditation in their life or like
Hmm.
breathing exercises. Not saying all doctors will recommend that, but some would, right? Like even now I'm saying like I don't know how I would
Yeah.
treat headaches necessarily when you're on bed rest and stress. I have some ideas, but like I could be totally oblivious to that there's a connection
Hmm.
there and the doctor could help me understand that. Or
But
perhaps
he,
it's a blood
but he
flow
has the
thing. I don't
access
know.
to all the tools. You don't. You just have the problem, and he should at least know where to look to try to find a solution. Because you're
Yeah.
already dealing with what you're dealing with now, and you can't do anything. That's why you're
And
at
I'll
the
get,
doctor's office.
yeah. And I'll give you some other pointers or like things to look into based on
Yeah.
the study. So it's also important to note what did I mention that's going really well and that is important to me and like how can that play a role? So I mentioned my my romantic life is exceeded
Hmm.
and it's met. Or sorry, it's exceeded and it's very
Yes.
important. So if you don't know anything about me, be like, oh, okay. So it's like you have a romantic partner and it's going really well. It does that person live with
Yeah.
you? Like, can they support you? Like, so you can start to ask questions. It's like, what is going well in your life?
Hmm.
And how can maybe we work on that with what's not working in your life?
Yeah. And
So for
then
instance,
to
like my
add, yeah, to
husband
add, yeah, to
works
add
long
to,
hours, but
yeah, to add to your pregnancy thing, you put your love life had exceeded, and you put that at 5 as important, but you also put family life exceeded at 5, so it would just add more to your pregnancy being extremely important to you. And you also
yeah,
have
exactly.
prospect of
So
having children at 5 too, so this is extremely important. You want everything to go well. Adding a rare disease to it, add complication, and I can see how that would stress you out even more than an average person.
yep. So yeah, the purpose of knowing whether or not things are met and how important they are can give you an indicator into like what's going on as a whole in their life and how it's
Hmm.
affecting them emotionally. It's like a really quick way to just get kind of the most important things out of life. It's like the doctor doesn't necessarily need to know all the details like I've been married for 7 years or like I have this many family members or like this is
Yeah.
my job. If you want to ask, you can, but all they actually really care about is what does exist and is it how's it affecting your life? Because if it's affecting your life, it could be affecting your health. It's also just like a nice way to bond too.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I kind of timed it. It took about 12 minutes to do all of that. And we learned so much about
mhm.
you.
Yeah, like I've done it where it was 5 minutes, which is why I called it the 5 minute tool. Could be a little longer, but like
Hmm.
it depends on the conversation, and you can
Yeah.
also make your own version of it. But what I like is that it's a really great way to dig deeper really fast. Like
Yeah.
get some like the essence of your life really fast.
Well, I
And
want,
then you as a doctor can choose to ask things where you want to ask things.
exactly. But I wanted to ask you, is it a doctor's work life difficult to deal with? So, like, I say, like, oh, I want to work with your other doctors and, like, figure out what they're saying about you and how to work it out. Is a doctor life too busy to do that kind of thing? Or is it more of a, like, a personal, like, hey, I like you, I want to work with you more? Like, do you have an answer for that?
Well, I think that's what the purpose of it is. So like I came up with this tool to be clear by accident for doctors. Like I came up with this tool. It was part of like a study just to measure happiness when I was in college. And then I realized it was actually a fast way for doctors to learn about their patients. So there's still work that needs to be done on it. But yeah, the purpose is that hypothetically, this or some version of this uh, is to be used all the time when you meet someone new so that you can quickly
Hmm.
gain information about that person in a very holistic way. Uh, so, so like I mentioned in my TED talk, as much as I would like, we would all like to have more time with our doctors and also for it to cost less. Like, I mean, we're not even going to touch on the financial parts of our healthcare system. But let's say that doesn't change. Like, let's say we really only have 10, 15 minutes with our doctors and like we're screwed in that sense. Okay, so what can we do to optimize that time?
Yeah.
And that's where this comes in. And again, it could be like the exact tool like you and I went through together, or it could be
Hmm.
some form of it, but it's more like the concept. How can you figure out what's important and what's going on in someone's life, like all aspects of their life, really fast? And I like came up with a really quick version for kids. It's like instead of having them rate things, you can have them give like thumbs up or thumbs down for
Mm-hmm.
if like something's going well or something makes them happy. Because yeah, doctors always talk about, especially with like rare disease patients or just people with chronic and undiagnosed illnesses, it's like, oh my God, there's so much information. But
Yeah.
you can uncover so much faster if you like get a snapshot of what's going on in their life,
Yeah, and
in
this is something you
addition to
can
their chief
do
complaint.
after every patient, even if you see them every all the time. It's just so much can change in a year too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally true. It's something that can be ongoing. It doesn't have to be the first time. I guess the one thing that I'm making an assumption here, but like hopefully would work in a lot of situations is this is the initial relationship and trust builder.
Mm-hmm.
So if you go back to that doctor and you have a trusting relationship with them, you may be just willing to divulge stuff at that point that maybe you wouldn't be if you didn't trust them and you didn't know them. But yeah, it's always a good tool to dig deeper because maybe even if the patient does trust you, they just like forgot to tell you something. Or like,
Yeah.
oh, you know what? Like, I've been having arguments with my parents for months now, and even though everything else is going well, that's led to me be really distracted and maybe forget my meds, and who knows? Like, our lives inevitably affect our health, whether it be like from stress or we're forgetting to take care of ourselves or overeating or undereating. Like, there's so many ways. So I think when doctors look at us as just a problem to be solved in like one area of our bodies, especially, it's like you're missing a lot. And sometimes it could be a difference between, I mean, I think often it's a difference between like proper treatment or not, or proper diagnosis, even.
So the
I feel
question is,
passionately about this. Can you tell?
yeah. So the question is, would you come back to see Dr. Sooch again?
Yes, I think I would like to see Dr. Sooch again. Or Joe.
There you go.
Yay. Here's the
Okay.
$8,000.
I hope you have good insurance. I guess before I take a mic away from you, is there anything you want to say, promote any words of wisdom, the winning lottery numbers? The mic is all
Hmm.
yours.
Thanks. Well, if you haven't seen it, I do recommend and would love for anyone to watch my TED Talk, which is 5 minutes to fix our broken healthcare system. And
Just to
again,
just
like
to be
it's
just to clarify, you say 5 minutes, but the video is 15 minutes. So
I
I
know
thought
that it
I thought
is
it was a little
longer.
funny.
Yeah, I mean, when I conducted it in person, there were definitely lots of times it was 5 minutes. Like I said, you can adjust it, but you get the gist. 5 minutes
Yep.
is it could be a little bit of hyperbole, but totally depends. More than the tool that we talked about today, I think what I personally like about my TED Talk is not so much reiteration of the tool, but like the concept behind it and the mission behind it. So please check that out and let me know what you think. I like genuine comments, really, really, really do.
I'm sure you also like saying you were on a TED Talk.
So that's not bad. Can I will tell you something interesting about the TED Talk, like being on a TED Talk itself.
Okay.
Uh, I don't know if people listening are aware of what Sing Sing is, but Sing Sing is a maximum security prison. It's a pretty famous prison, a little up the river from New York City, which is why there's that term like sending someone up the river. It's not great.
Oh, I
So
just
my TED
got that
Talk
now.
actually, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay.
my TED Talk took place at Sing Sing, like in the prison, and there
Why?
were I don't know because that's just where they hosted it, but not just where they hosted it. They actually had inmates also give TED Talks, and they're amazing. Like I think there were 12 of us all together. Six of us were non-inmates, and then six of us were inmates. And I think their talks are just mind-blowing. So I highly recommend people looking up like that TED event and looking at the other talks as well. Oddly enough, one of the non-inmates was also Steve Forbes. So I met Steve Forbes that
Okay.
day. It was an interesting day.
Wow. So you got a tattoo too?
Yeah, I played to warm up that day, we played improv games with all the inmates. Like I was hanging out with them. Like I have friends that
Okay.
are inmates in Sing Sing. It's
Dang,
a
that
thing.
sounds amazing and awesome and weird all at the same time.
It
Okay.
was a moving experience, I'll tell you. It was quite a day. I also don't think I've ever been so nervous in my entire life.
Okay. That's a great way
Behind
to
the
close.
scenes info.
Yeah, that's a great way to close it. So thank you so much, Eva, for giving me your time and doing improv with me today. Thank you everyone for listening and watching, and I'll see everyone next time. Bye.
Thanks, Joe.